All right, so closing things off, I will talk about the latest Netflix feature film to come out called Extraction, right? This came out, well, yesterday time is recording here. That will be April the 24th. So just before I jump into this, right? So what was interesting about this show here, what got me intrigued by it, just from the word go, was his lead, Chris Hemsworth, right? AKA Thor, right? So I was like, okay, Chris Hemsworth in a Netflix movie. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I didn't watch any trailers for this, but for what I saw with the screenshots and whatnot, I got the sense that this was going to be a really intense action movie, really grim, really grimy, and all that kind of stuff. But then later on, actually see with the credits, this is written by Joe Russo.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he wrote this too. And also, well, the director of this, Sam Hargrave, you could say you could just add him to the list of stuntmen turned directors. Yeah, this is his debut feature one. Um, but he also worked on films like Captain America: Civil War and Avengers Endgame, right, as stunt coordinator.
Right.
Right. So, he's been doing his thing, right? And, with the success of John Wick, which I'll bring up in this review here, it's good that you see people who know their way around action, or I should say action coordination, or stunt coordination, or fight choreography, I should say, being behind the camera and just taking what they know and just putting it out there, just telling this story around that, right? And the story for this is rather straightforward, rather bare bones. I know this was a criticism with some people with this movie, but yeah, the show in a nutshell is that we have it's set basically in Mumbai, India, right? So we're introduced to this character, Ovi, right? He is the son of a drug dealer, well, I should say a crime lord, basically, who's locked up, right? And we have this rival who just decides out of the blue, yeah, literally out of the blue, to kidnap Ovi, right? And then we're introduced now to Chris Hemsworth character. He plays Tyler Rake, right? Which is such a generic action name, Tyler
Yeah.
Rake. You know, I do like that there's a moment where a character asks him why Rick do. It's like, oh, is Rick really your surname? Like, isn't Rick a gun tool? He just kind of brush it off and just asks a question on top of it, right? So I like that, it's just like, the movie was self-aware to be like, that's your surname, bro. But anyway, he is a mercenary, right? Of course, he served in Afghanistan, right? You know what I mean? He did a stint there, and we learned later on actually, that he lost his family actually. So he's just a mercenary now. He just does all these odd jobs, and now the team that pretty much gives him jobs, right? Kind of tells him, oh well, this crime lord's son got kidnapped, right? So now is just, we want you to go down there, save him, and we're just gonna send our team to extract you, right? Hence the title of this. So he goes down to Mumbai and he kicks a lot of ass in this one. And there's a particular action sequence that takes place. I'll talk about that in a bit. And then it's like, oh, okay, deed is done. Bodies are, lined up and whatnot. Dead bodies are lined up, but the job is done, or so it seems, right? So now, at the moment where they now going to, extract this guy, now going to the drop-off point, or whatever it is, the extraction site, and they're gonna leave Mumbai now. Plans go awry. Tyler and Ovi are just stuck in Mumbai, right? Luckily, there's a guy, or I should say associate, who helps out, both of them, who's played by David Harbour of all people. I didn't even know he was in this. It's like, okay, you keep getting that Netflix money, bro. You keep getting that money, John. You keep getting that money, right? But yeah, he's there who helps them out. But then in the process, there's also a guy who, well, essentially he's the guardian of Ovi, right? He was always his guardian ever since ever since Ovi's dad got arrested, right? And you learn later on, the guy is kind of a badass too, right? He knows his way around firearms and all that kind of stuff. But he also has a family as well, so he's kind of doing this job because he's well, the dad, because of the
Right.
commitment he have to Ovi's dad. It's just like, well, I have to save this boy, but I know that I have a family, but I'll let them know that, hey, in case things will work out, I just want you to just pack up his stuff and leave, right? That's the commitment they have. So yeah, essentially, so he's in the middle, but it's just really about Thailand Ovi just trying to escape, the this the bad guy, and of course in true cliche action movie style and formula. Yes, he owns the cops, so yes, he could send out a team of cops to hunt them down and all that kind of stuff. And it's just mainly about them just surviving a night basically before until they find some kind of way to get out of the city and out of the situation. And yeah, that's the best I could give as far as synopsis, right? So I'll just say right off the bat, this show itself, uh, it's pretty standard. It is exactly what it is. You get your money's worth with this. People who will expect really complex story, well, with complex characters and just no deep story and all that, will be severely disappointed by this. This is not that kind of film. Um, it really truly harkens back more to 90s action films where it's about the lead actor and just putting him in this situation where he has to kick a lot of ass and fire a lot of shots and just be the tough guy basically, right? That's what it is. And then you have this bad guy who is as generic as they come. I don't say that as a bad way, but just like we get a few moments where we realize how bad he is. There's actually a moment with him and his goons and a bunch of like street kids. And I imagine that moment in particular will, probably run some people up a wall by like, wow, this is so excessive and violent. Wow, what kind of movie is this, right? But
Right.
it's not gratuitous, but it was enough for me to be like, okay, that's why this guy is scum. That's why I should not like this guy at all. But the
Right.
the actor that they get here, and it's an Indian guy because it's mostly Indian actors who are in this film, right? With the exception of just like a few noticeable faces like Chris Hemsworth and David Harbour, right? But yeah, the guy who plays the villain, I thought that just look wise and just the stuff that he did, yeah, he was quite intimidating in my opinion. He's just that kind of silent type, but he'll tell you that kind of thing that make you feel scared. Or he'll get his goons to do something really brutal or violent. He's that type of character. He doesn't like to get his hands dirty, right? Um, and also he lives lavish as well too, but like he have a mansion, with a casino and a bunch of like hot girls there. But yet at the same time, he just like he will like go to his balcony and just look and observe all the activity that's going on, which is mainly like near the end this big shootout with explosions and gunfire and all that kind of stuff. And he just there watching everything, right? But I dig the villain in this, like for what they were going for. Chris Hemsworth as the lead, he was quite convincing. I mean, he's just the straightforward, what I mean, the badass hero who doesn't really talk that much. He will talk if he has to, but he's like that no nonsense character. You know what I mean?
Right.
He will just shoot, like basically just gun you down if you are in his way. He's that type of person, right? So yeah, he's like he's like the Sylvester Stallone or the Schwarzenegger, like just how they were back in like the late 80s and 90s. That's what Chris Hemsworth, sorry, is going for with this, right?
Right.
About the action itself, boy, wow. I would say that as far as action movies go, boy, this is probably one of the most intense I have seen for the year thus far, boy. And
Okay.
it's a good thing because Joe Russo and Sam Hargrave involved in this, boy, because yeah, they put a lot of effort into making these action scenes feel intense. You know what I mean? And just grim and brutal. You know what I mean? And I've read some criticisms that people had that they find that the violence was just too excessive, or they would always pause ever so often to let the story flow or happen, but then they'll always pause it to just have these really graphic scenes of violence, all that kind of stuff. To me, it's not graphic or over the top or brutal, but yeah, they are really really intense though. Like when Chris Hemsworth goes down on on some men, boy, it's serious, boy. Like smashing heads through, um, you know, um, kitchen sinks, um, be throwing guys into walls and all that kind of stuff, gunning men down, just blatantly. That's the type of action we get here, and well. just a little joke that I made on Facebook, right? So I said that, the people behind this movie probably watched 1917 at 1.5x speed, right? Reason
Right.
being why I said that is because there's a long take in this. 12 minutes to be precise. And I would say hands down, this is probably one of the best action scenes I've seen in 2020. I know this is not really seen a lot because of the lack of theatrical releases, but even if this got a theatrical release, boy, yeah, this is a marvel, boy. This was just such an amazing scene to look at. Yes, you could
Right.
tell where they do the cuts. You could tell by now. If you know your action filmmaker, you could tell where they do the cuts, right? But just the sheer balls in doing this scene, right? So it just starts off essentially with Chris saving Ovi, right? And then just leads to a car chase, and just leads to them coming out of the car and jumping into another car or another vehicle, and quite brilliantly, there's a scene where they go into this building and it's just the bad guys running down Ovi, and then Chris chasing them down and just throwing them down or shooting them down. And the camera is just following them throughout the entirety of this thread. So it starts from the rescue and then it leads to them in the building. To a car chase, to them in the building, and then to another car chase. And it just plays out over the course of roughly 12 minutes, thread. And just like with 1917, I just free to watch the behind the scenes for this. Okay, just destroy the allure of it for me, just the mystique of it. But yeah, boy, as far as action filmmaking go, boy, this is just top-notch, superb action filmmaking, boy. I just had to pause when I was waiting for the cut, right? When they cut to the next scene. And then when the moment they cut, boy, I had to take a breather, but I was just like, wow, boy, this was so well done, Jeff. From camera work to music to sound design to just Chris Hemsworth just being a all-around badass in this, and Ovi being quite resourceful as well too, because he's not the little kid in distress. He does a little stuff as well too, right? But yeah, I can't praise the scene long enough. If there's a reason to watch Extraction alone, it's a 12-minute action scene, right? That will go down actually as one of the best action scenes of this year, hands down, right? But and we do get some more great action scenes here or there as well too, equally intense, equally violent as well. But I was kind of surprised at how people reacted. Some people reacted to it and complained about how violent it all is, right? And it's kind of weird because we have stuff like John Wick, right, where the violence is more stylized, more stylish and stylized than anything else, right? But I think the reason why people were critical about this movie in particular is because it's grounded in reality. It really feels grim. You know what I mean? This is not uh I don't want to say a feel good movie, but it's not the kind of crowd pleasing movie you watch and you just shut your brain off. It always kind of reminds you that, hey, this is a dark world that we're in. As I say before, you have these street kids involved, and even the villain kind of ropes them into a gang and gets them to be, toting guns and all that kind of stuff, right? So I don't know a lot about, the dark side of Indian society or, the world of Mumbai itself, right? So I can't say that's true to life or whatnot. And it's not a period piece neither. It's set in modern day. So I guess this is a reality that people face in India. I guess I don't know. I
Right.
can't really say, but I guess it's because of how grounded it was, right? And also too, which kind of caught me by surprise too. It's kind of melancholy as well to it. It is kind of sad at points, especially when they touch on Chris's character. Him losing a lot in his life, his family, and stuff like that. And
Right.
of course, and then it has. Let's say this is melodramatic. The music as well. You know what I mean, which is handled by Henry Jackman, who has worked on MC movies before. I believe he did the score for either Civil War or Winter Soldier. I think he either did
Right.
both. Probably one of those two, but I know he did for that, right? Yeah, it's on the melancholy side of things, right? Um, let's say that the movie is a tearjerker. Let's say that, but yeah, it is kind of grim, kind of dismal. We kind of paint to this kind of
Uh,
dark
what
portrait
about the
kind of thing.
what about the co-star Chris himself? Who co-star? You know, Iranian actress in this?
That would be. Let me pull her name up. Yes, there was seen here on Wikipedia, French Iranian actress Gul Shifty for
Okay.
Farahani. Yeah. Yeah, she's the one who kind of gets the leads for who gets the lead, sorry, for Chris's character. So she's the one who find out about the kidnapping and hires him to do the job, right? And there's actually like some really cool moments with her actually, right? Just seeing her as you know what I mean, because of the world of just them being mercenaries as well. You know what I mean? They will do the job. It doesn't matter. Well, just as long as the task is done. If they have to go out there and get their hands dirty, that's exactly what they will do, right? So even though she doesn't get a lot of screen time, they work her character very well in this, in my opinion,
You're
right?
right.
Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean. Oh yes, and also the kid who plays Ovi, I thought that he was good. He was good for what he was given. I will say though that they could have given him a little bit more character development. I felt the whole idea that they just kidnapped this kid out of the blue. You know what I mean? Like, yes, as far as action movies go, it works. You know, like take Commando for example, right? Perfect example, right? Oh, because you're this guy, we're gonna kidnap your daughter, right? That's really
Right.
the reason behind that. But because it's a crime lord behind bars, it's like, all right, but what the father could do about it? He ain't really do anything. He just there. So like, what's the point, right? But they kind of say, oh well, it's to take, to prove who's in power and all that kind of stuff. But just to talk once again about the violence once again before I get to read it here. Yeah, so I was actually surprised at just people's response to how violent it is or how it kind of sacrifices story in place for violence, right? I just got just off the nature of it, just off the aesthetic of it, that yes, it's going to be grim, it's going to be the violence is going to be heavy. You know what I mean? It's a very heavy film in my opinion, right? So yeah, you get so to me the violence in this works for the story that they present here. You know what I mean? It's not some kind of stylish stuff or some kind of world that isn't real, like like a John Wick or whatnot, because it feels real. I guess that's the reason why people kind of were critical of that. Um, yeah, that's why the violence was where it was. But to me, it's just an action movie, guys. I just accept it for what it was. It's not like something so shocking and controversial. It's not that. It's just a simple enough action movie. And because the premise is so simple and to the point, it didn't really take me out the movie at all. I was just more if like I say, if I only have one gripe, is just that the story itself is by the numbers, right? You kind of know how things gonna play out. Characterization, there's not a lot of it at all, and I understand. Yes, it's supposed to be straightforward, but it could have been a little bit more, especially with the kid too, because it's just like, oh, you just kidnapped the kid because reasons, right? You know what I mean? It just kind of happens, right? But overall, I get my money's worth with this. I get a solid action film, and it's amazing that it came out on Netflix. Because yeah, I can imagine the show, doing gangbusters in the box office, right? This would have
Right.
this would have easily made a ton of cash in the box office, right? But we
Well,
got it on Netflix.
I can see it. I know about a ton of cash, but I can see it doing like 21 Bridges numbers, right?
Ah, yes, 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 yes. Which was also not written by the Russos, but I think was produced by the Russos. I think something like
Right.
that. Yeah, yeah. Actually, right. It is. This gonna be like a 21 Bridges. Like, oh well, before this guy goes to act in the next Marvel film, here's this movie that's gonna here's the show that he's gonna be in for the time being, right? So this could kind of whet your appetite for the next MCU movie.
Right.
And to me,
The
this
thing
is
is,
essentially is what this movie is. That's what it
the,
is.
the, the reason I didn't take Extraction too seriously is because the last Chris Hemsworth action flick was terrible. That was the Michael Mann film.
Ah,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes. I heard. Yeah, I was
right
going
up.
to watch it, but then I heard bad things about it. I heard some
Yeah,
people
that
say
well, shit.
I heard some people say it was kind of underrated, but yeah, I just heard too much bad
Ah,
about it. I was like, nope, I
it's
good.
terrible.
Yeah. But I mean, Chris Hemsworth always had that leading man presence, and he shines in this. He really does shine, right? Um, and I would like to see him in not so much in more action films like this, but more leading man roles as this, because outside of the Thor films, he just, not a side character, but he's not the main character per se, right? Yeah,
Right.
but like I say, I could have imagined this movie showing in theaters, the crowd reacting to that 12-minute action scene and just seeing Chris just, you know, just go not really go ape shit, but just be a overall action hero on this, right? Yeah, this would have been a crowd pleaser for sure. But because it's on Netflix, yeah, I imagine. Well, I mean, yeah, people are gonna check this out for sure. And I would say, see that you didn't see it yet, Ricardo, I would recommend that you do watch it as well. And I would recommend that to you guys out there, yes, give it a look. Especially if you are a fan of just straightforward, no nonsense action movies, because that's
Right.
exactly what it was. It doesn't butter things up. This is not a PG-13 film by any stretch of imagination. This is a solid R, and you do get it does live up to that rating. But I know for some people who kind of don't want their violence to be that graphic or brutal or whatnot, they will be not disappointed, but they will be kind of let down or kind of turned off by it, right? But I don't know. I just find the whole issue of the violence kind of interesting at the same time. I just kind of find like, oh, you really find this to be too violent? Okay, well, maybe because it's a Netflix show. Maybe that's why. But I guess I assume if it came out theatrically, people would not bat an eye to this. Like people probably would have talk about it a bit, but not as much as all that. But I guess it's because it's on Netflix. Like, oh well, let's make this a big deal. But it's really not a big deal. But yeah, rating wise, I'll give this a decent, strong 3.5 out of 5. Man, it is worth checking out. It's on Netflix. You kind of have no excuse for it. And if like just overall, if you just want a solid action film with not that much story to it, then you'll get your money's worth fit. If you're looking for character development, look elsewhere. If you want this film to be, palatable as far as, action filmmaking goes, you'll be disappointed with this. This is straight hard edge action, you know what I mean? And I would say just that 12-minute action scene alone is reason enough to watch this. This will go down as one of the best action sequences of the year. I don't know of the decade because the decade just started really, but yeah, solid filmmaking throughout, solid action filmmaking. I would say I really can't wait to see what this director, what Sam Hargrave does, man. Because yeah, behind the camera, yeah, he did a solid job with this, man. I think that he should stick to making films like this. We're definitely not gonna get a sequel to this, right? Let's let you all know this one time, but I really want to see what he does next as far as action movies go. But yeah, not much more I could say. Extraction's on Netflix right now. If you're into this kind of thing, give it a look. If not, skip it.